Hey guys, welcome to the channel. As you see in the thumbnail, what if Luffy awakens his Haki during the bandit raid on Makino's bar? Before I start, please do support for more awesome content and subscribe my channel and like this video, and also go support the Chrisfragger for writing that awesome fanfic. Let's start this video. 7-year-old boy, wearing a white baggy t-shirt with a picture of an anchor and loose-fitting blue shorts, walked into a local bar in Fuchsia Village, Windmill Village. The boy pointed at an older man at the bar talking to an attractive young lady. "Shanks. Let me join your crew, I'm gonna be the best pirate you ever seen." The boy screamed. The now identified Shanks replied, "You know I can't let you join my crew, Luffy, you are a scrawny little brat. You can't even swim, what good's a pirate that can't even swim?" Shanks is a tall skinny man wearing a loose-fitting white button-up shirt unbuttoned and open, black captain's coat, brown pants and a red sash as a belt. He has a scruffy goatee, shiny red hair that his crew is known for, 3 jagged scars going vertical over his left eye, and an old-looking straw hat resting on his head. A man named Usopp with curly brown hair, scruffy goatee, blue shirt and white pants. Relatively tall and skinny sitting slouched in his chair answered, "Luffy, it's not about how well you can swim or not, there's more to being a pirate than that. I can fight. My punches are like a pistol." Luffy replied. "Is that so?" Shanks asked. "What do you mean by that, Shanks?" Luffy screams while somehow showing off teeth more fitting in the mouth of a fishman than a human. The big fat man with a piece of meat on the bone in his hand, wearing a pair of shades with a band holding them on his head, green and white striped shirt and bandana over his head, tan shorts and a green sash for a belt, spoke up, "Luffy is just a little kid." "Luffy's about the same age as my kid back home," Usopp said. "I'm not a kid. I'm a man." Luffy angrily shouts. "Don't get so angry, Luffy, here have some juice." Shanks hands Luffy orange juice. "Thanks, Shanks." Luffy greedily slurps the orange juice down, smiling like a kid the whole time. Shanks slaps his hand down on the counter, laughing at Luffy. "See? Still a little kid. Damn you, Shanks." Luffy screamed. "Don't you laugh at me." Luffy glared at the other patrons of the bar. Suddenly a large group of men approached the bar, the leader kicking the door in. "Sorry for the interruption," the man says without sounding very sorry for the interruption at all. Everyone in the bar stops all conversation and stares at the great prick that chose to damage the kindly barmaid's door. Except Shanks, who continues to eat his meal as if nothing has happened, making a lot of clanking noises as his spoon hits the bowl. The leader of this particular band of bandits is a taller man with long black scraggly hair, beady black eyes, longer black goatee, long black trench coat, brandishing a scimitar sword on his hip. "So these are pirates, are they? They don't look like much to me." He walks up to the bar and asks the barmaid Makino. "We aren't here to trash your bar, we want to buy 10 barrels of your finest sake." All his men sneer at the pirates in the background. "Omen, we are all out of sake," Makino answered the man. That's strange. These pirates are all drinking sake right now," the bandit leader inquired. "That is because they bought all the sake we had in stock," Makin apologized. "Ah, that's no good, it seems we drank everything," Shanks stated from the bar. "If you want, you can have this," Shanks offered the man his bottle of sake. This seems to upset the bandit leader a great deal, so he breaks the sake bottle, spilling the contents all over the bar, floor, and mostly all over Shanks' face. "I'm a wanted man. Worth 8 million belly last I checked. One bottle isn't going to be enough for me, pirate," the bandit leader states. Oi, 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 now the floor is all wet." "Sorry about that, Makino-san," Shanks apologized. Shanks bends over and proceeds to pick up the broken glass. "Do you have a mop, Makino-san?" Shanks asked. "I'll take care of it." Makino races over to the front of the bar and helps Shanks clean up the mess. The bandit leader unsheathes his sword and slashes it across the bar, breaking several bottles, and laughs at Makino and Shanks. "You pathetic pirates like to clean so much, clean that." Luffy was watching this the whole time like it was a movie, as he waited for his hero to step up and show this no-name bandit who was the unofficial boss of this town. As he was watching, he felt a hunger settle in and thought it would be nice to have a snack while he watched the drama unfold. "This looks tasty." Luffy picks up a purple round swirly looking fruit that was sitting in an open box on the counter, left forgotten by the current affairs in the bar. He took a bite and nearly vomited from the foul taste, so he put it back and washed it down with his orange juice. As he watched Shanks, his idol and the strongest man in his little world, let himself be pushed around, he was getting more and more upset. "Shanks. What are you doing? Don't let him push you around like a little girl," Luffy screamed, trying to motivate his friend and role model. "Ah, Luffy, it's alright, it's just some spilled sake. No need to get upset over that, is there? No need to get upset over some spilled sake, is there? How about this?" The bandit leader hawked a nasty loogie right into Shanks' face. The rest of the pirates in the bar growled in anger at the insult to their leader, but continued to do nothing to attack or show aggression to the bandits. Luffy had just about had enough, his faith in his mentor and idol was falling faster than a devil fruit user in the ocean. He stands up slamming his chair onto the floor and screams at the top of his lungs, "Leave Shanks alone, you dumb bandits." Without even noticing it, Luffy was slamming the entire bar with what he would later learn to be Hashoku Haki, Haki of the color of the conquering king. Shanks was shocked. He looked over at Luffy, who was glaring at the bandit leader whose legs were shaking, his eyes had rolled back, and was foaming at the mouth slightly. The small bandit army he had with him were all on the ground, out cold, twitching from time to time with foam coming out of their mouths. Shanks' crew had broken out into a cold sweat, and were they themselves having trouble keeping in the world of the living. They looked at Shanks, then at Luffy. Makino, who had retreated back behind the bar, had also passed out with the same symptoms as the bandits. Luffy realized something was wrong. He looked around from the bandits that just started dropping like puppets with their strings cut, to the bandits leader that seemed to be AWOL, but his body just didn't realize it yet, to Shanks. What happened? Why do I feel so tear at all of the Sudan? Luffy then fell flat on his face, unconscious. Hey, Shanks, was that what I think it was? Usopp asked, wiping the sweat from his brow. Yeah, that was exactly what you think it was. The bigger question is, how the hell does he have Hamshoku Haki at his age? Shanks was obviously panicking and confused at this point. You know, the kid's got a lot of courage, and we all know who his grandfather is. Maybe he got it from Garp. Lucky Roo commented. You know, Roo, I wouldn't even begin to think how else he may have gotten it, Shanks replied. Usopp, wake up Minako-san and get her to a seat and get something cold for her. I'll take Luffy to the spare room upstairs. His use of Haki drained his spirit and he will be out for a little while. Shanks commanded his crew as a captain should. Shanks grabbed Luffy's arm to pick him up and take him to the spare room, when all of a sudden his arm stretched while leaving Luffy laying on the ground, still sleeping like a baby. Oh shit. Shanks screams and runs over to the box that was sitting on the counter. They had left it unlocked without thinking about the danger. Luffy ate the devil fruit. Shanks screamed at his crew. There was a chorus of what? And oh crap. From the crew. 1 hour later, Luffy finds himself surrounded by the Red Hair Pirates crew. I'm sorry I ate your treasure, Shanks. I didn't know it was so valuable. It's not a big deal, Luffy. You do realize you will never be able to swim again for the rest of your life, now don't you? The devil fruits give great benefits, but also removes the ability to float in water and swim of anyone who eats them. You ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi, Gum Gum fruit, Luffy. You are now a rubber human. Shanks informed Luffy. Shanks grabbed Luffy's hand and yanked it far in front of him, showing him the stretching ability. Wow, that is so cool. Luffy shouted with stars in his eyes. Thinking about all the cool stuff he would be able to do with his stretchy arms later. I'm glad you are okay with it, you are going to be like this the rest of your life. Shanks reminded him. Okay, now Luffy, how did you use Haki earlier? That is very dangerous to throw around like you did, Luffy. Shanks asked while trying to be as serious as he could be without scaring the boy. Haki? What is Haki, Shanks? I have no idea what you are talking about, what did I do? Luffy asked, genuinely curious about the question Shanks asked him. You released what is known as Hashoku Haki, Haki of the color of the conquering king, and knocked out the entire bandit gang as well as Makino-san, Shanks replied. I heard Makino-san. No, I would never hurt her, she is so nice. Luffy started panicking. He would never raise a hand to Makino. Shanks had to be lying to him. You didn't do it intentionally, I think. You in a moment of rage released the Haki and just hit everyone in the bar. Your Haki was so powerful it actually made my crew break a sweat. You should be proud of that at least. Shanks replied while trying to make Luffy feel somewhat better. Luffy, Haki is a power that we as humans can use if we have a strong enough spirit. You are a strong-willed kid, we all know that. We will have to help you learn at least how to control it somewhat before you kill someone with it. Ben Beckman told Luffy. Ben Beckman was an average-sized man with shoulder-length greasy black hair, a black sleeveless shirt, brown pants with a yellow sash for a belt, flintlock pistol on his hip, and smoking a cigarette. Luffy started panicking. I don't want to kill anyone, what if I kill Makino or Shanks next time? Luffy thought. What do I do? I don't want to kill any of my friends or any random villagers. Luffy asked, screamed at the man. We will train you for a few weeks and help you get your Haki under some kind of restraint, Luffy. We are your friends, and we won't let a friend down who needs help. Shanks patted Luffy on the shoulder. Let's go to the woods and we can help you practice your Haki in a safer, less populated area. We can take your Haki just fine, Luffy. That is the first chapter of my first story. Hope it was interesting enough to catch people's attention. As is the custom of people on this side, I have noticed I ask you read review. Thank you again for taking the time to read my attempt at a fanfiction of the always amazing One Piece. 7 long years have passed with Luffy training, as hard as his little body would allow him to. His grandfather would help train him with his loving fists whenever he could get to Dandan's hideout. Dandan was a mountain bandit leader that Monkey D. Garp, Luffy's grandfather, dropped Luffy off to raise into what Garp hoped was a fine upstanding marine. Luffy made great friends with Ace and Sabo, his brothers by bond of sake. Sabo was a young boy with blonde hair, band-aid over his nose, wearing a noble's wide ascot around his neck, a top hat, blue dress coat, teal pants, black shirt, a belt buckle with a sun seal image on it. Ace was a taller boy about 3 years older than Luffy. He had black hair that hung loosely on his head, he wore a red shirt and black shorts. These three boys did everything reasonably acceptable together, they trained, they stole, they hunted, they even cried over each other's problems. Sabo died about 3 years ago when he ran away from home to start his life as a pirate earlier than he had promised his friends he would. He did not show proper respect to a Tenryubito, world noble, so the Tenryubito shot his small helpless boat to pieces and sank him to the ocean floor. Luffy was reading the letter that Sabo had left him and Ace, knowing he would either be a pirate or be dead shortly after he wrote it. Why would Sabo leave us? Why would he betray our friendship like this? Luffy was shedding tears of deep hurt and pain, he felt like a part of his soul was ripped from his body. One of his two brothers were now dead, gone from the world, and he would never see him again. Whenever Luffy got angry, the air around him got thick, heavy, and oppressive, Dandan noticed, and it was making her blood run cold with fear. She ran to Ace, grabbed him up and ran behind their hideout, while Luffy's emotional breakdown continued oblivious to those around him. Why did we leave him, Dandan? He needs us to be there for him. Ace asked. Ace, Luffy has no real control on his Haki when he is in these deep emotional states, and it would just hurt you if you were too close, Dandan replied. Suddenly Dandan and Ace felt a wave of fear hit them. They slowly, through great force of willpower, turned their heads to look at Luffy, who had just slammed his hands into the ground in grief and created a 10-foot wide, 3-foot deep circular crater around him. He did not even notice this as he continued to blast his Haki, as if trying to make the world feel his loss. Animal life was leaving the forest in flocks and droves, the light in the area seemed to dim as Ace and Dandan started to feel lightheaded and sick to their stomachs. Ace and Dandan decided they were too close still and ran further away, thinking the animals had the right idea all along. Is this that Haki you were talking about, Dandan? Asked Ace as they were running for their lives, the oppressive feeling barely getting better. Yeah. We need to get further away, I'm just glad the rest of the gang were out on business right now. Dandan replied. Back at the clearing, Luffy screamed to the heavens demanding his brother be returned to him. When his demands went unheeded, he just put his head on the ground and sobbed. Falling asleep shortly after, he felt a wave of exhaustion from his use of Haki. Dandan and Ace returned when they felt the waves of fear and power die down, finding Ace on the ground sleeping face in the dirt. We should get him to his room, where he can sleep us off, Ace suggested. Dandan just nods in reply, and they carried Luffy to his room to sleep it off. Luffy, now 17 years old, was preparing his small rowboat for starting his new life as future pirate king. One villager shouts, "Hey, Luffy, you should take one of my fishing boats. That thing will sink in no time flat." "Nah, that's fine, this is what I want to start with," Luffy answered him. Luffy looks out to the sea in front of him, raises his arms and screams to the world, "Sabo. Watch over me. I'm going out to sea now." As Luffy casts off and rows away, Makino sighs. He's finally leaving, Mayor. "I'm gonna miss him," Makino said. "It's a dishonor to the village to become a pirate," Whoop Slap replied. As the villagers are watching him leave, they see the Sea King that guards the bay, making it hard for anyone to leave the island. It is a large eel-looking Sea King with a jaw full of razor-sharp teeth and eyes that could pierce your soul. Luffy stands up glaring at the beast, imposing his will upon it using a small amount of his Hashoku Haki, Haki of the color of the conquering king. The Sea King started shaking violently, its eyes showing obvious fear and panic. Then like a flash it turned tail and bolted back to sea. The villagers had to pick their jaws up from the ground from the shock of seeing Luffy just scare the fish away with a look. Dandan and her bandit crew were watching from behind a few buildings to not scare the villagers. "Damn, that kid's gonna be trouble out there on the sea someday soon. I hope Garp knows what he's getting into letting his boy be a pirate," Dandan said. We find ourselves on a large luxury cruise ship. There is a ballroom where many rich, well-dressed couples are dancing with not a care in the world. On the outside of the ballroom on the deck we find a few Marines. Marines wear a uniform of white shirts with blue pin striping and blue pants, otherwise most of these Marines are nondescript. "Hey, there's a barrel floating in the sea, we should snag it and see what's in it," one Marine shouted. They got a rope with a hook attached to it and proceeded to hook the barrel after several attempts. The Marine on the crow's nest was watching them, laughing at their failed attempts while keeping a watchful eye on the horizon. All of a sudden he sees a ship passing a large outcropping of rocks in the distance. The ship drops its sails and unfurls its Jolly Roger, pirate flag, skull and crossbones. It then proceeds to open fire at the civilian ship. There is a young boy with pink hair, white shirt with vertical blue stripes, and black pants that boarded the vessel with the pirates. His name is Koby. He is the most skittish, cowardly little boy you have ever seen. He skulks through the corridors of the boat looking for loot that he is required to collect for Alvida, the female pirate that captured him a couple years prior. "What's this barrel? It's heavy." Might be filled with sake, I guess I should try to take it. Koby tries to push the barrel over and find it too heavy to do so. That is when a few pirates wandered in to see if Koby was trying to hide again. What are you doing in here, Koby? You aren't trying to slouch on the job, are you? I'll tell Alvida-sama on you and you will get the club. One random pirate said to Koby. No. I found a barrel and I think it may have sake in it, but it's too heavy for me to move on my own. Koby prayed they would believe him. Ah, I see, maybe you aren't as useless as we figured you were all this time. Hahaha. The pirate laughed at the scared Koby. I'll open the barrel. One of the other pirates said. He raised his arms preparing to punch the barrel. All of a sudden the barrel exploded and 2 of the 3 pirates were buried in the walls out cold. Did I do that? I'm sorry, sometimes I don't even know my own strength. Shishi. Luffy laughed, not really seeming very apologetic on the issue. How dare you knock my crewmates out? I'll get you for this. He raised his sword preparing to cut the intruder in half for his perceived insult to his crew. Luffy seen the attack coming a mile away, his expression instantly changed to a more cold glare at the attacker. Luffy raised his hand up while he whispered armament and his hand became deep glossy black. The sword hit his palm and shattered into 2 pieces. Your swords can't cut me, Luffy stated in a cold dark voice. Then proceeded to beat the crap out of the lone pirate. WW, what are you? How did you block that sword with your bare hand? Koby asked, clearly shaking in fear at this newcomer from the barrel. Then he realized he was going to be in bigger trouble if he didn't find anything to take to Alvida's ship. I gotta get out of here, you better run too if you don't want to get the iron mace from Captain Alvida. Who's that? A pirate? Luffy asked. Yeah, she's the captain of the pirates robbing this ship we are on right now. I gotta get out of here before she finds me slacking off. Koby ran out of the storage room with Luffy following closely behind. I'm hungry, kid, tell me where some food is. Luffy demanded. My name's Koby, I don't know where food is. I've never been on this ship before. Let's look in this room. They entered a room and found that it was indeed a food storage room. Luffy cheered and dug into the apples he found in a box at the back of the room. Are there any boats on this ship I can use to get out of here, Koby? Luffy asked between bites of his apple. How did you get in that barrel anyways, Luffy-san? Koby asked. That. I was sailing on my small rowboat when I got sucked into a whirlpool, so I got in the barrel and took a nap. Luffy answered. The whirlpool, you are lucky to be alive, Luffy-san. Koby responded. Yeah, I know, it caught me off guard, that is hard to do. Luffy answered. So are you a pirate, Koby? Luffy asked in passing curiosity. Koby shuddered, then looked like he was about to cry. Ooh. Koby was loading a small fishing boat getting ready for a day on the water when a shadow crossed over his own on the boat. He looked up and there was the ugliest, fattest woman he had ever seen. She had curly black hair, freckles all over her face, she wore a white cowboy hat with a red feather in it, with a pink flannel shirt under a black and gold captain's coat and light blue pants. The next thing Koby knew, he was being forced into the boat by these pirates. Ooh, yeah, that is a long story. I sorta got kidnapped and forced into being Captain Alvida's cabin boy so they wouldn't kill me. I've been here for 2 years now. Koby answered. Why didn't you try to run away? Luffy asked. Koby just looked down at the deck and shook his head violently. No. She would kill me if I even thought about escaping. Koby panicked at the thought. There is something I want to do with all my heart, but I could never do it since I cannot leave this crew. I want to be a marine and capture pirates like Alvida. Koby nearly yelled out. Luffy-san, what are you doing drifting the sea in a barrel? What is your dream? Koby asked in curiosity. Me? I am gonna be Pirate King. Luffy responded without a second's hesitation. Koby's jaw dropped and he started stuttering. Are you serious? Do you know what it means to attempt to be Pirate King? The man with all the fame, power, and wealth in the world, all amassed in one place. It's impossible, impossible, impossible. Koby started hyperventilating in shock. Luffy glanced at him, sending out a tiny concentrated pulse of Haki at Koby. Koby reacted like he had been struck in the face with a hard slap. What was that feeling? I feel like I don't even belong in this man's presence, Koby thought. Luffy, what was that? I feel dizzy all of a sudden. That was Haki, you were panicking, I had to calm you down before you hurt yourself. Luffy answered. Before Koby could question Luffy further on this weird power known as Haki, the roof of the room they were in caved in. Koby. Is this where you've been hiding? Is that Rorano Zoro the pirate hunter? Have you come for my head, Zoro? Luffy and Koby stared up at the lumbering fat woman flaring down at them, threatening to smash poor little Koby with her spiked iron club. I'm Luffy, I don't know who this Zoro guy you're talking about is. Luffy answered her. Just as the hippo of a woman was bringing the club down to administer her form of feminine fury on the child, Luffy jumped in and grabbed Koby, getting him clear of the club. Luffy took himself and Koby to the upper deck of the ship. As the Alvida pirate crew were surrounding and preparing to attack en masse, Luffy flung both of his arms out in opposite directions, as far as the ship was wide, then started spinning on his feet, grabbing the entire crew up in his arms. The crew was absolutely paralyzed with fear. This man's arms had just stretched at least 50 feet and grabbed them all up in what seemed like a second flat. Luffy then threw the crew off the ship into the ocean. Shishishi, I'm sorry I beat your crew a little too fast, hippo pirate captain. Luffy mocked Alvida relentlessly. You stupid little boy. You think you can beat me as easily as my crew? Alvida yelled, hoping that her size and huge club would intimidate this little punk. You have the power of a devil boy. I thought the devil fruits were just a myth of the Grand Line. Alvida glared at the irksome little rat that drew in her raid. Ooh, on the neighboring ship, the ship that the Alvida pirates call home, we find a pretty young woman sneaking about stealing Alvida pirates' treasures. She glances over at the cruise ship and sees Alvida fighting with a young man. Not any of my business what pirates kill each other over. The young woman thought to herself as she lowered her new stolen loot to her little boat. Ooh, I'm not a little boy. I'm a pirate. You can't beat me with that stupid stick. I'm the man that will be the future pirate king. Luffy responded, glaring at her for underestimating him. Alvida raised the club as though she were going to smash Luffy with it, then switched targets at the last moment and tried to smash Koby. Luffy sensed this through his Kenbenshoku Haki, the color of observation, though, and jumped into the path of the club, taking the blow straight on the top of his head. A pregnant pause followed the contact between the fearsome club and the young man's head. Luffy grinned and looked up at the cow of a woman. I'm a rubber man, you can't hurt me with that club, it's just impossible. Luffy laughed at Alvida's pathetic attempt to give him brain damage. Luffy threw his hands back past the aft of the ship. Aft of the ship means back of the boat. Hey, Alvida, how about I send you to the Grand Line for free? At that moment Luffy's arms came snapping back then forward and impacted Alvida's stomach, launching her through the air into the distance till she disappeared on the horizon. Seconds after Alvida disappeared into the distance, Luffy heard the whistling of cannonballs coming towards the ship. Looking to the side of the ship, he sees 3 marine ships firing at them. Hey, Koby, this is great, you can join the marines right now. Luffy shouts. Are you insane? We are on a pirate ship, they would arrest me before I could even think about joining them. Koby screamed. Luffy and Koby jumped off the side of the boat onto a lifeboat and they escape in the intech confusion caused by the marines picking up all the pirates into water. 2 hours later in the small lifeboat. Both Luffy and Koby are relaxing, enjoying the weather. Luffy-san, do even you know where you are going? Koby asked out of curiosity. Nah, Koby, I just go where the waves take me. Luffy responded. What? Luffy-san, basic navigation skills are required to not die on the ocean. What would you do on the Grand Line? Koby asked, fearing for his new friend's life. I'll get a navigator to join the crew, then we will be set. Luffy lazily replied. Hey Koby, who was that Zoro guy hippo captain mentioned? Luffy asked in passing. Urano is Oro, a pirate hunter. He is a demon in human skin. He lives only for the bounty. He will kill you. You can't talk to him, please. Koby cried out. I think I will invite him to join my crew, that is if he's a good guy. Luffy said. Koby just sighed and wondered what his new friend and possible future opponent was thinking, trying to invite pirate hunters to a pirate crew. Another hour passes and we find our rubbery friend and his pink-headed Nakama docking their ship into the port of Shell's town. This town is basically a marine base with a small village surrounding it. You can see the marine tower from any point on the island, a large wide tower painted blue. Luffy and Koby are walking through the village looking for a nice restaurant to eat at, seeing as the pickings were slim on the lifeboat. Hey Koby, you think Zoro would join my crew if we find him? Luffy asked a diminutive future marine. When he asked this, everyone in a 50-foot radius of them bolted into buildings and behind food carts like pointed a gun at them. Shishishi, I guess the name of Zoro is a taboo in this town. Luffy laughed at the idea of that. I hear there is a great captain here named Axe Hand Morgan. Koby commented offhandedly. Soon as he said the name, the people around him had the same reaction as they got from Zoro's name, if not worse. I can understand Zoro's name being frightening in this town, but why would they be afraid of the name of a great marine captain, Luffy-san? Koby queried. Maybe the marine captain guy isn't as nice or great as you think he is, Koby. Not every marine you come across is going to be a saint, and not every pirate you come across is going to be a devil. Do I seem like a bad guy to you, Koby? Koby shook his head in the negative. I have set my life's goal to becoming the most powerful, wealthiest, and famous pirate in the world. My devil fruit and my Haki will help me get there, so what's that leave you to believe about me? I guess you have a point, Luffy-san. I have just lived my life believing that marines are good and pirates are bad. Koby sighed. Luffy and Koby found themselves in front of the gates of the marine base, looking at the image of the seagull across the large green iron doors. Luffy ran around the side of the fence and looked over the top of the stone barrier. Hey Koby, I found Zoro. Kuffy shouted to his small friend. No way. He should be held in some maximum security cell in the tower. Koby yelled in denial at Luffy. Koby poked his head over the fence and had to pick his jaw back up from the shock. They actually crucified Zoro in the middle of their beach area out in the weather. As the duo were watching Zoro, contemplating going over there to talk to him, Zoro looked up at them and said in an even calm voice, "Hey you, get out of here, you bother me." Then a ladder appeared next to Koby and a little girl about 8 years old with black hair, wearing a knee-length dress with horizontal green and blue stripes, climbed the ladder ignoring Koby and Luffy completely. She ran across the empty field to where Zoro was tied up to the cross. "Are you hungry? I have some onigiri I made for you." The little girl offered her snacks to Zoro. "Get out of here kid, they'll kill you if they see you helping me." Zoro pleads for her to run off while trying to maintain some air of darkness about it. "I put all my heart and soul into these onigiri." The girl started crying because Zoro didn't want to eat her snacks she had made especially for him. "You shouldn't be so mean there, Zoro. You're scaring the little shitston." Hehehe. Young man with golden blonde hair in the shape of a football around his head mocked Zoro and the little girl trying to give him food. "You should know that helping this man earns you the same sentence as him, by decree of my father Captain Axe-Hand Morgan." "Zoro, do you know why I am here? It's not just to mock you, I assure you of that." Helmeppo chuckled at his little inside joke. "I've changed my mind, I am bored of this waiting game with you. I am going to have my men here shoot you in the head and laugh at you while they throw your dead body in the sea to feed the fish. But first, seeing as my father made that decree that helping you earns the person that helped you the same sentence as you, I will have my marine here kill her in front of you just to make you suffer a little bit more. Though you are called a demon, I don't know how much it will bother you." Hehe. "Benson, shoot this stupid little child in the face, if you don't I will tell my dad on you and you will taste his axe." Helmeppo shouted, spraying spittle all over the young marine's face. The marine did not want to do this, but he also didn't want to die by that blasted axe that killed so many good friends of his. Luffy was watching all of this unfold, getting progressively more angry. When the stupid football-headed brat told the marine he was going to kill the little girl, he finally had enough. Luffy stood up on top of the stone wall and shouted stop, releasing a blast of Haki at the marine, pointing the gun at the girl. The marine's eyes rolled into the back of his head, he dropped the gun and fell flat on his face. Rika, the small girl that brought the onigiri for Zoro, had no clue what caused the man that was about to murder her in cold blood to fall asleep like that. She just decided that it was a good time to flee for her life. Zoro watched a marine drop with narrowed eyes. What could cause that? It was obviously an attack someone used to stop him from killing that girl. Zoro looked at Luffy. It seems he has to be the one that did it. It happened soon as he stood on the fence. "Hey, who the hell are you, peasant?" Helmeppo shouted at the Luffy. He obviously did not take into account the danger he was in. "You little bastard. You were going to kill that little girl for helping this guy." Luffy's Haki was rising and Helmeppo was finding the act of breathing to be a chore. "WW, what are you, straw hat kid? What is this feeling I can't breathe right? It's called Haki, you idiot." Luffy screamed. Luffy's right arm stretched out and grabbed Helmeppo's shirt while Luffy's left arm stretched back behind him as far as it could. "Armament," Luffy whispered. His left fist started growing black and shiny. "I am going to make you suffer, you little shit." Luffy brought Helmeppo towards him as Helmeppo screamed something along the lines of, "No, you can't do this, my father will get you," or some other shit no one in the area cared about. As Helmeppo was nearing Luffy, so was Luffy's left arm approaching Helmeppo, nearing the impact. Luffy's left fist struck Helmeppo's stomach and instantly reversed Helmeppo's momentum, forcing him to fly through the brick and mortar wall of the tower. Whether he was alive or dead, Luffy really didn't care. "Now to get me a swordsman," Luffy smiled. Luffy, with a calm stride, walked up to Zoro. Zoro looked up. "Thanks for saving the little gaki, what do you want from me?" "I'm Monkey D. Luffy, a pirate and future pirate king." Zoro glared at him. "What's this pirate want with me, doesn't he know who I am?" Luffy just continued to stare at Zoro for a moment. "What's your story? They were about to kill you for something, you kill someone in this town or something?" Luffy asked. "No. The damn gaki." Helmeppo sicked his dog on the kid that brought me the onigiris and I killed it before it could bite her. He threatened to punish them for it unless I allowed him to arrest and hold me here for 1 month. Little bastard stole my swords too. Guess he changed his mind on the month, it's only been 3 weeks. Zoro told him his story. "Ah, so you ain't a bad guy like everyone says then. You want to join my pirate crew?" Luffy asked the swordsman. "You do know I hunt pirates for their bounties, don't you? Why would you want me anywhere near you? I could kill you when your back's turned and take the bounty." Zoro deadpanned. "Nah, you wouldn't do that. I can see it in your eyes, you have honor. I could tell when you tried to save that kid by making her leave. If you were like you just suggested, you woulda just let her get what was coming." Luffy replied. "Haha. You got me, pirate. Yeah, I would never strike a man in the back. But still, I am a pirate hunter and you are a pirate, so why invite me?" Zoro asked. "Here's the deal, the Marines want to kill you apparently. Your bounty hunting days are done whether you like it or not. So you can die here whenever they get around to killing you. Or you can join me, sail the seas, fight strong guys and get stronger. Your choice. Luffy's eyes calmly locked gazes with Zoro. Zoro frowned, be a pirate and live to possibly fulfill my dream, or my journey ends here at the end of some random marine sword. Zoro looked up at Luffy with a maniacal grin, where do I sign up, Captain? Shh. Yeah, that's what I wanted to hear. So you use a sword, right? It should be in the tower, I'll go get it. Luffy cheered and left Zoro at the cross. Damn it, that guy didn't let me tell him I use 3 swords, Zoro sighed. Well, as long as he gets Wado Ichimonji I can afford to lose the others. About 5 minutes ago. I am great. Captain Axe Hand Morgan, the man in charge of this marine base, randomly shouted as his men were heaving a giant statue of himself up to a standing position using ropes. Morgan is a very tall, intimidating man with white blonde hair and a steel jaw. As his epithet suggests, his right hand is replaced by a huge steel axe, the handle of which seems to go right through his forearm. Like most marines of high rank, he wears a large billowing coat like a cape. His coat, however, does not have justice on the back. Yes, sir. You are the very best and most noble marine captain, sir. A random marine said, who was still struggling to lift the oversized statue. Clearly Captain Morgan is overcompensating for something. Another marine thought, hoping desperately that the fearsome captain could not read minds. Captain Axe Hand Morgan jumped up and looked down over the side of the tower. There he seen a kid in a straw hat talking to the prisoner he had left in the open training area. I'll go down and take care of this. If there is any damage to my statue when I get done I will kill each and every last one of you pissants. Do you understand me? Yes sir, Captain Morgan, sir. The Marines nearly had a heart attack with their fearful response. Back to the present time, Luffy headed to the tower about to break in when he heard a loud thud behind him. His Kenbenshoku Haki, color of observation, told him to duck. Just as he ducked, a giant axe blade flew through the air that his neck occupied a moment before. Luffy jumped away to make some space. Who are you? Luffy asked. I am Captain Axe Hand Morgan. I own this town, what is a peasant like you doing on my base? Axe Hand Morgan towered over Luffy, glaring at him, trying to intimidate Luffy with his immense size. I'm Monkey D. Luffy. I'm the man who will be Pirate King. Luffy responded as though he had said the same thing at least 1,000 times before. He probably has at this point. You are just another filthy pirate I'll stomp on with my boots and put you in front of the firing squad. Morgan glared at the intruder. Morgan lunged at Luffy, trying to trap him between the wall and himself. Luffy suddenly vanished from Morgan's sight. Hey Lockjaw, where are you looking? Luffy asked as if discussing the weather. Morgan asked dumbly, standing up straight and turning around. How'd he get behind me so fast? I couldn't even see him moving. Morgan growled in anger, then charged at him with as much speed as his huge body could produce, swinging his namesake at Luffy erratically and without any kind of form. Luffy closed his eyes and allowed his Kenbenshoku Haki, color of observation, to guide his movements, allowing him to perfectly dodge all of Morgan's careless swings. Luffy sidestepped one of Morgan's wild swings and stuck his foot out in front of Morgan, causing him to fall flat on his face. Before he could get up to continue his futile attacks on the rubber man, Luffy grabbed Morgan's ankles and started spinning at ridiculous speeds before changing trajectory and launching Morgan straight up into the sky. What the hell is this guy? How can he avoid all those attacks with his eyes closed as though he were dancing or something? I need to learn how to do that. Zoro thought as he watched the fight play out. Not like Zoro can do much, seeing as he is tied to a cross at the moment. What strength this Gaki has. I'm gonna die at this rate. Morgan was thinking as he flew higher into the sky. When his accent finally halted and his descent started, much to his dismay, Luffy looked up, tracking Morgan's trajectory. Luffy jumped high into the air, then launched both arms back behind himself. Here, take this Lockjaw, can't wait, it was nice knowing ya. Gomu Gomu no Bazooka. Luffy shouted as his fists dug deep into Morgan's gut, which caused Morgan to reverse direction and fly back into the sky, completely unconscious and uncaring of his fate. Top of the tower during the fight. The Marines were heaving on the ropes and slowly raising the statue of their most feared and hated tyrant when they seen a shadow fly over them. They all looked up at about the same time to see a clearly unconscious Captain Axe Hand Morgan, the real-life version of the monolithic statue they have been slaving over trying to lift, fly through the sky to parts unknown. Was that the captain? Random Marine number 5 asked Random Marine number 7. Yeah, I think it was Random Marine number 7 answered. Suddenly all the Marines lost grip on their ropes, causing the giant statue of the debunked tyrant to fall and shatter to 1,000 pieces on the ground. Luffy landed on the ground with a solid thud. Looked around and seen he was surrounded by Marines and some civilians from the village. What the hell's up with you? Luffy? How did you stretch your arms to attack that Marine? That makes no sense. Zoro shouted. Luffy grabbed both of cheeks and pulled them apart, stretching them comically. I ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi, I'm a rubber man. That still confuses me, Zoro couldn't really grasp half the things this kid did. Hey you Marine, Luffy points at some random Marine in the crowd. Get this guy's swords out of that stupid son's room. Luffy demanded. Why yes, sir. The poor man dropped his weapon and ran into the tower like the hounds of hell were nipping at his heels. Luffy heard a familiar whistling sound and looked towards the ocean where he seen Morgan hit the water, causing an enormous splash. With no one looking ready to go out and there pull him in, Luffy didn't exactly hold high hopes for his survival. Couldn't have happened to a nicer asshole, Luffy thought to himself. When the crowd seen the impact, it was like a dam broke, the Marines all threw their weapons into the air and started celebrating with the civilians. Yada. The tyrant is gone, was the general theme of their shouts. Several of the Marines ran up and shook Luffy's hands, thanking him from the bottom of their hearts. This is odd, the Marines are cheering the death of their captain. Luffy pondered. Koby finally came out from behind the wall and ran up to Luffy. They must have all been too terrified of Morgan to be able to resist his orders. Koby proposed. As the Marine was running to get Zoro's swords from Helmeppo's room, there was a young woman sneaking through the hallways, making her way to the captain's quarters. Let's see if there is anything hiding in the big boss's room. She picked the lock on the door slidden, narrowly escaping being seen by the Marine passing by on his way to Helmeppo's room, not that he would have cared to notice her anyways. Nami the cat burglar was checking all the possible hiding places when she moved a crate aside and found it. Bingo. An in-wall safe. She cracked the combination and pulled out what looked like a rolled up piece of paper. She unrolled it. It's a wanted poster for Buggy the Clown. He's a heartless demon of a pirate. He's killed entire villages for laughing at his nose. She shuddered and slightly suppresses fear and the thought of facing such a notorious pirate. Finally she had what she needed, so she shut the safe and snuck back out the way she came. The Marine had picked up all the swords he found in Helmeppo's room, ran as fast as he could back out of the tower. With shaking hands barely capable of holding said weapons, he ran up to Luffy and said, "Here Mr. Pirate. The weapons you requested, sir. Please don't kill me." He pleaded and begged with his face on the ground. "I ain't gonna kill you. Get out of here, you're in the way." Luffy shouted, disappointed in this man's spirit. Luffy walked up to Zoro, slid one of the swords out of its sheath, held it up to Zoro's ropes that bound him. "This is your last chance to back out, Rurano Zoro. I cut you loose and you are a pirate just like me, or I leave you here and look for another first mate." Luffy grinned at Zoro, waiting his reply. "Cut it out, Captain. I already told you I was ready to join you. But let me make one thing clear before we lock this deal down. My goal is to be the strongest swordsman in the world. If you ever step in the way of that dream," Zoro put his newly reacquired swords back where they belonged on his waist, "I will kill you myself and step over your dead body." Zoro replied while shaking Luffy's hand. Shishi. That sounds fantastic. What else could the future Pirate King ask for if not the best swordsman in the world? Luffy replied to Zoro's strong statement. In a small restaurant that was run by Rika's mother, we find our captain and his newly acquired first mate Rurano Zoro eating food the village gave them on the house for removing the most even father and son duo in East Blue. Ahhh. That was so good. Zoro leaned back in this chair, hands on his swollen stomach. That was worth not eating for 3 weeks. Zoro sighed. "So Captain, how many shipmates we got? To become the Pirate King you gotta have a strong crew." Zoro questioned his new captain. "None, just you." Luffy casually replied. Zoro pointed at himself. "Just me? You're kidding, right?" Zoro pleaded. "Yep, just us two," Luffy said. "Where is our ship, Captain?" Zoro asked, desperately hoping his fears weren't about to come true. "Over there." Luffy points his fork out the window at a small dinghy floating at the docks, which just happened to have a small stray dog pissing on at that moment. "That thing is your boat, Captain." Zoro sighed in exasperation. "I'll get a better ship and more Nakama. I will have a great Jolly Roger too," Luffy shouted. "So Luffy-san, where are you planning on going after you leave Shell's town?" Rika asked. "The Grand Line, of course. I have to be Pirate King, can't do that sitting here in East Blue," Luffy replied. Koby spit his drink all over the bar. "With just the two of you, no matter what, that's just impossible. It's too dangerous. You'll both get killed." Luffy just leveled his gaze at Koby without releasing any haki. "Koby, how many times do I have to tell you? I ain't dying till I'm Pirate King. So stop crying, you're just annoying me." Luffy sighed as Koby shut his mouth instantly. "Luffy-san, is the Grand Line really that dangerous?" Rika asked. "Only to those unprepared or without the conviction to take what they know they want," Luffy answered. "Well, I guess I got no choice. I signed up for it, I gotta roll with it." Zoro interjected. "You too, Zoro-san," Koby shouted in exasperation. "Why do you care anyways, Koby? You aren't coming with us or anything, are you?" Zoro asked. "You and Luffy-san are my friends. Growing up I didn't have any friends. I don't want to lose you too." "I mean, I think we are friends," Koby cautiously asked. "Yeah? We're friends, Koby, we may be leaving, but that won't change anything. Luffy cheered Koby up. You shouldn't be worrying about us, Koby, you said you want to be a marine, right? That's good and all, but even if it wasn't by choice, you did serve on a pirate ship for 2 years. Don't underestimate the Marines' intelligence gathering networks. Koby looked like he had seen a ghost, speaking of which Koby whispered more to himself than anything else. At that moment the restaurant's door opened up and a small group of Marines stepped into the restaurant. Excuse me, I have to ask, is it true that you two are pirates? The Marine in the front of the group asked. Yeah, we're pirates. Luffy answered. I know you have done us a most honorable deed in defeating Captain Axe-Hand Morgan, but as Marines we cannot sit by while pirates occupy our town. This was met with roars of disapproval from the crowd watching the event happening. Yeah, we'll take off. Thanks for the food, Ririka-san. Luffy smiled at the nice restaurant owner, giving her a wave as he and Zoro were walking out the doors past the Marines. By the way, Marine-san, Koby there would like to join the Marines. He has no affiliation with pirates, understand? Luffy asked while giving the Marines in the building a generous helping of his Hashoku Haki, color of the conquering king. Yes sir, I understand completely, HH'll be welcomed amongst us. We know exactly what happened. Again, you have our deepest thanks, I am sorry you cannot stay longer. The Marines leader finally said. Luffy and Zoro were filling up their boat with the supplies that Shell's town gave them for removing Morgan from their town. They got in and started sailing out to sea when they looked and seen the entire village at the docks watching them leave, with the Marines all lined up in front, including Koby in his new Marine private uniform, and they were all saluting them. Luffy laughed and gave them all a big wave as they sailed into the distance. After about an hour sailing in a random direction his captain picked at random, Zoro called to his captain. Captain, what did you do to those Marines as we were leaving the restaurant? It was hard to breathe for a moment. Oh, that. I didn't want those Marines picking on Koby, so I used my Haki on them, just to make sure they understood my point. Luffy replied. Haki? What's that, Captain? Zoro deadpanned. You don't know? Well, I shouldn't be too surprised. It's a mysterious power that only the strongest people have. You should have it, it comes from your spirit, and you have a strong fighting spirit, I can tell. From what I was taught, every human being can use at least one form of Haki, most after enough training can use two. Luffy answered. What can Haki do, Captain? Zoro asked. Well, there are 3 different kinds of Haki. First there's Kenbenshoku Haki, color of observation. It lets you see attacks coming at you that you shouldn't be able to see, like someone trying to stab you in the back. If you're good you can do more that just sense an attack coming. Luffy took a thoughtful pose. Then there is Busashoku Haki, color of armaments. I think you would be most interested in this one, being a swordsman and all. It lets you harden your skin and strengthen your physical attacks, even through weapons like your swords. It also allows you to attack devil fruit users easier. Hearing this, Zoro's attention was perked to even higher levels. Then the last one, well, that one is only found in 1 in a million people from what Shanks told me. It's called Hashoku Haki, color of the conquering king, Shanks, and Grandpa Garp told me that it was very dangerous ability that I had to be careful with. I accidentally knocked out an entire gang of bandits that were picking on Shanks one day. But I also heard a friend of mine I have to be careful with mine all the time. Sounds like a powerful weapon to have. Zoro grinned. Maybe I can learn to use this Hashoku Haki? Zoro asked. Luffy glared at his first mate. You can't take it lightly, you could kill someone with that Haki, at least that is what Grandpa Garp and Shanks told me. The Kenbenshoku Haki is the easiest to learn how to use, so we should get you on that one first. After all, I don't think you need to worry about any Loja users for a while yet. Zoro raised his hands in a placating gesture. So, think I could at least learn this Kenbenshoku Haki when we got some time. The thought of being able to dodge attacks he can't see and knowing how his opponent would attack beforehand would help him greatly. Yes, sure, I could teach you if you are capable of awakening it. But you aren't going to like the training, I promise you that. Luffy grinned like a madman, thinking of how he got taught the same skills. How do you teach something like that, Captain? Zoro questioned cautiously. Oh, you wonder? Well, we would need some room, but what I would do is blindfold you and start throwing rocks at you. You'll either learn to avoid them. Or you won't. Shishi. Zoro looked horrified. Are you serious? That's how I learned, Luffy answered. Flashback: 7-year-old Luffy in the woods with Shanks. Okay, Luffy, I am going to try to teach you how to use Kenbenshoku Haki. Shanks said while kindly smiling at Luffy. Okay, Shanks. How am I gonna learn it? Luffy asked while bouncing up and down on his heels. I'm gonna put this blindfold on you and then throw the stones at you. You'll learn or you won't. Either way, I'll have fun. Dahahaha. Shanks laughed uproariously at Luffy's horrified expression. Then flashback: took me about 2 weeks to learn how to use Kenbenshoku Haki. That was a horrible 2 weeks, let me tell you. Every night I was a walking, talking bruise before I went to sleep. Luffy recalled. We'll wait till we get a new ship or we are going to be on solid land for a while before we start training you in Kenbanshoku Haki, Luffy said. You got any more food over there, Captain? I'm a little hungry with all this talk of superpowers and stuff. Zoro wanted to change the subject seeing as he couldn't train at the moment. Luffy looked around. I think I ate it all. Zoro's jaw hit the ground. We need food, Luffy. We'll die out here if you eat all our food. Zoro started looking around in a panic for anything edible. Oh? Look, there's a bird up there. Luffy shouted as he flung his arms to catch what looked like a relatively normal bird until he actually caught it, and it was a giant bird, so in reality it caught him. Luffy looked around while he was in the jaws of the bird and seen an island in the distance. Okay, stupid bird, you better let me go or I'll drop you. The bird just grumbled as he tried to chew on Luffy's head. Gomu Gomu no pistol. Luffy smashed the bird, knocking it out, and he fell safely to the ship. Seize Oro, food. Luffy smiled at a job well done. Captain, we need to be able to cook that bird. Zoro droned. Yeah, that's easy, there is an island a couple miles that way. Luffy pointed towards the island he seen. 1 hour later, Luffy and Zoro were disembarking from their dingy. What's up with that ship? Looks like the circus came to town. Luffy laughed at the ship they docked next to. Indeed, the ship they were next to did look like a carnival or circus ride. It had red and white stripes all over the crow's nests and a giant Jolly Roger with the silliest looking giant red nose on the sails. Zoro just sighed, who knows? I've turned in some crazy bounties. People who wear clown costumes and look like they work at the local circus isn't all that surprising. Hey. Who are you guys? You can't dock your ship next to Captain Buggy-sama's. Luffy and Zoro looked over at the circus ride and seen 3 goons in circus looking clothes glaring at them. Hey, let's rob 'em. Goon, number 1, said to goon number 2 and number 3. Hell yeah. Let's take 'em for all they're worth. The goons charged down at our protagonists. Zoro, are they serious? Luffy asked. Yeah, Captain, they want to rob 2 guys that just drifted in on a dingy without any treasure to be seen, Zoro droned. This will be a good time for a demonstration of the Hashoku Haki. Luffy shouted. Luffy glared in the direction of the oncoming thugs pretending to be pirates. Their eyes rolled back and they fell on their faces, rolling several feet forward from their momentum. Damn. You took 'em out without even touching them, Captain. Zoro shouted in surprise. Yeah, they are small fries, that won't work on the really strong guys, but it may slow 'em down for a second or two. Luffy said. Luffy and Zoro were walking through the village looking for someone to buy supplies from. There is no one here, the town's been abandoned, Zoro observed. No, there are people here, I can sense them. There are 4 people coming at us from up the road right now. Luffy squinted looking down the road waiting for them to come. The young woman was running from 3 men dressed similar to Luffy's demonstration targets from earlier. She ran past Luffy and Zoro and screamed, I'll leave it to you, boss. Luffy and Zoro looked at each other, then back at the woman running away, shrugged and waited for the pirates to catch up. Zoro, you want these guys? They have swords? Luffy asked. Yeah, I'll take care of it, Captain. Zoro grinned, unsheathing his 3 swords. As the pirates slid to a stop, they looked at the men in front of them, first at Luffy, who was smiling a silly childish smile, then at Zoro, who had a sword in each hand and one in his mouth. Is that who I think it is? One of the pirates asked. It looks like it. Excuse me, are you the pirate hunter Rorano? Zoro? The other pirate asked, visibly shaking. I never called myself pirate hunter, I am Rorano Zoro, though I am a pirate. Zoro answered them. The 3 random pirates turned white as a sheet and bolted in the other direction. Aw man, you let them get away, Zoro. Luffy complained. I won't fight cowards, they couldn't even hold their swords up against me. What would I gain from taking them out? Zoro deadpanned. Hey, you too. You're strong. My name's Nami. Wanna team up? I'm a thief that steals from pirates. Nami questioned. Luffy and Zoro stared at the girl for a long moment. Luffy shook his head slowly. No, we're pirates. Luffy and Zoro started walking past her. Nami gasped. I almost joined up with some pirates, she panicked. Stupid pirates. Not like I would partner up with filthy pirates anyways. And she ran off around a corner. I should follow these 2, maybe I can steal some loot behind their backs. She chuckled to herself at the thought. Luffy and Zoro made it to a large bar at the edge of town. There was an elderly man with white hair, wearing old wooden armor over a yellow plaid shirt and long black pants. This old man was being strangled by a disembodied hand. Luffy ran up and grabbed the hand off the old man's throat. You okay, old man? Luffy asked. The old man gasped for air and then nodded. Yes, I'm okay now, thanks to you. My name is Boodle, by the way. Now step aside, young uns, I have some pirates to kick out of my town. Zoro stepped up. Are you serious, old man? You couldn't beat any of those guys. That armor of yours couldn't stop a butter knife. Boodle stood up tall as he could. I'm the mayor of Orange Town. It's my job to take care of everyone, we gotta get our homes back from these bastards. Boodle shouted. Luffy put his hand on Boodle's shoulder and pulled him back. How about you let us handle these guys? We're itching for a fight anyways. Luffy tried to persuade the old man. No, it's not your duty. It's my duty as mayor to expel this trash from Orange Town. Boodle wasn't backing down from the issue. Luffy sighed and grabbed Boodle's head and smashed it into a wall, knocking him out cold. Luffy picked up the old man and threw him over his shoulder, then turned and walked to Nami, who was hiding behind a building. Can you take this old man and hide him somewhere? He'd just be in the way of our fight like this. Luffy asked Nami. Why did you beat him up if you cared about his safety? She screamed, looking like a demon with sharp teeth and fire in her eyes. Zoro walked up to them. He was right, you know, the old man would have got killed if he continued fighting. Those are real pirates up there, not bandits. Nami sighed. Fine, I see what you're saying. I still don't see why you care. You're just filthy pirates. You probably killed 100 people for fun. Nami grabbed Boodle and dragged him into a nearby house. Luffy and Zoro walked back to the bar Buggy is using as a hangout. So did you two finish praying to whatever gods you worship? I'm going to kill you for hurting my hand like that, you know. Buggy arrogantly proclaimed. Luffy took a deep breath and shouted at the top of his lungs, big nose. Why you dare to call me that? Fire the Buggy ball. Kill him. Buggy screamed in impotent rage. Nami, who had returned moments earlier to watch the fight hoping for a chance to steal something, screamed in fear. Zoro looked ready to run, but noticed that Luffy didn't look panicked at all. Captain, you got this, I take it. He'd gonna shoot us with a cannon. Yeah, stand back, it's fine. Luffy casually responded. Buggy's crew aimed the cannon at Luffy and lit the fuse. Soon as the fuse was almost gone, Luffy said, Gomu Gomu no Fusen, rubber balloon. Luffy inflated like the move's namesake. Uam. The cannon fired at Luffy, and the ball hit Luffy dead on, sinking deep into his gut. Buggy and crew's jaws all dropped. The Buggy ball. Hess gonna throw it back. Buggy screamed. But alas, it was too late. The ball flew back at them faster than the cannon shot it at Luffy. The cannonball hit the bar and exploded, causing a huge plume of smoke and debris to fill the air. When the smoke cleared, Nami had fled the scene to find Buggy's treasure. And there were only 2 of Buggy's crew standing. Buggy himself, who used 2 of his crew as a shield, and a weird guy on a unicycle that used a giant lion as a shield. Buggy-sama, he must have a devil fruit power like you, the man on the unicycle commented. Babaji, you take the swordsman, if I'm right. And I am always right. That's Roronoa's Oro, I'll take the bastard with the straw hat. He called me that name. You know what happens to people that call me that. Buggy growled. Oh, yes Buggy-sama, that poor fool is as good as dead. Kabaji cheered his captain on. But Zoro's fight. So the legendary pirate hunter Roronoa's Oro, I can't wait to run you through with my sword. Kabaji proudly stated. I never claimed that title, people just called me that. But I am Roronoa's Oro, and I will not be beaten by some freak on a unicycle. Zoro said while bringing his 3 swords out, placing Wado Ichimonji in his mouth and his 2 unnamed swords in his hands. Kabaji rode his unicycle towards Zoro, swinging his sword at Zoro. Zoro blocked the attack, casually looking at Kabaji, as if to say that all you got. Kabaji grinned and shouted Kyakugi. Kajioyaji, acrobatics. Old man's flame. Zoro seen it coming but just barely dodged out of the way. Hide me like a man. You coward. Zoro shouted at the unibiker. Meanwhile, with Luffy's fight. Well, Kabaji kills your friend, I am going to make you wish you were never born, straw hat punk. Buggy growled at Luffy. Luffy was cleaning his ear out with his pinky. Yeah. I heard it all before, big nose. Buggy screamed in rage and aimed his fist at Luffy with 4 daggers between the fingers. Bara Hokure Hinashi, split cannon detach. Buggy's hand fired at astounding speed right towards Luffy's face. Luffy vanished from Buggy's side, appearing behind Buggy. Rearing his fist back while Buggy looked for him. Where is that little straw hat bastard? Buggy felt someone taping on his shoulder. He froze for an instant, then jumped to the side. Narrowly avoiding the fist that flew through the air his head had occupied a moment before. Who are you, Gaki? Buggy asked while he moved his right arm behind his back. He was trying to distract Luffy while his disembodied hand snuck up behind him to stab him in the back. I'm Monkey D. Luffy, future pirate king. Why do I have to keep telling idiots this? Luffy pondered. Buggy's hand flew up from behind Luffy with Buggy laughing, thinking he had him. Luffy just ducked down and grabbed the hand as it passed by his head. You gotta do better than that, Buggy, you can't stab someone like me in the back. Luffy said. How'd you see it coming? I had you dead to rights. Buggy shouted in panic. I'm not just a devil fruit user, I can use Haki, I see all your attacks coming before you use them. You are so slow to me it seems almost unfair to fight you at this point. Luffy answered him. Haki here in East Blue, I left the Grand Line so I wouldn't have to deal with dangerous people. What the hell is a Haki user doing here? Buggy started sweating profusely. I can't believe you were on the same crew as a great man like Shanks. I've heard stories about you from him. It actually makes me mad just looking at you, how weak you are, hiding here in East Blue. I'm just going to end this joke of a fight, Buggy. Luffy sighed. All his training to be a pirate just seems to make fighting pirates here on the weakest ocean too easy. Luffy ran towards Buggy. Buggy, in his hysterical state, started throwing his knives at Luffy as fast as he could. This guy knows that bastard Shanks. He probably taught the punk some of his Haki. Buggy thought as he continued his erratic attacks. Luffy ducked and weaved through the hail of knife fire until he was right in front of Buggy. His right hand was still at his starting position. When Luffy seemed to appear in front of Buggy and whispered armament, his right fist changed to high gloss black. Then he shouted Gomu Gomu no pistol, rubber rubber pistol, causing Luffy's right fist blackened with Haki to impact Buggy's chest, laughing him through the air into the bar. Buggy was out cold before he hit the building. Luffy dusted his hands off and sighed. Loser, big nose was hardly worth my time. Luffy looked over towards Zoro's fight and moved to watch it. Hey Zoro, you going to wrap that up sometime today? Luffy laughed uproariously. Zoro glared at his childish captain and then readied his swords in a crossing pattern that looked like a sideways double cross. Kabaji charged at Zoro, preparing to use his flame-throwing attack again when Zoro disappeared in a flash of movement. Santoryu tiger hunting. Zoro whispered from behind Kabaji. The fountain of blood came from Kabaji's chest as he fell to the ground unconscious. Zoro sheathed his blade and turned to his captain. If I won my fight first, I may have had to take your place as captain of this crew. Captain Zoro responded to Luffy's earlier comment. Shishishi. You're right. I can't go looking bad in front of my first mate, can I? Let's see what we can take from this loser crew. Nami should be looting them already, can't let her have all the fun. Luffy shouted. Luffy found Buggy's map in his pants pocket before leaving with Zoro to find Nami. Nami was running back to her ship with 2 bags of gold when she stopped and looked over the battlefield. Bodies and unconscious men lay all over the streets, hanging out of holes in the walls of buildings, and there was Buggy's feet sticking out of a hole in the bar. You guys finished that up pretty quick. You gonna pillage this town now? Nami asked hesitantly. No, we aren't your average pirates, Nami. I have no interest in beating up on the weak. Luffy sighed. Hey Nami. You any good at navigation? Luffy asked. Yeah, I'm probably the best damned navigator you will ever find. Why? Nami responded. How about we make a partnership? We need a navigator, you need money. We would make a killing together. Shishishi. Nami considered the offer in her mind. These pirates seem different, they aren't as cruel as others to the villagers. They could be ransacking this place for all it's worth, but they aren't. I can probably make a lot of money to put towards my goal with these two, they are clearly strong. Alright, I think we can work together for a while. Don't think this means I'm a pirate like you though. Nami finally responded. Luffy and Zoro were carrying the bags of gold as they walked to their boat. When they were stopped by the villagers, they had the unconscious body of Boodle. Who are you people? Are you pirates with Buggy? The apparent spokesperson asked. No, we aren't with Buggy. But we did just kick his ass. He's over there in the bar sleeping off the worst ass beating he's ever gotten. Shishishi. Luffy laughed as he walked past the stunned crowd. Who the hell are you people? Why did you help us? The same man asked, stunned by the actions of these strangers. Because I can. I'm a pirate, I do whatever I want. Luffy responded loudly for all to hear. He's a pirate, but he saved us from Buggy, should we stop him? You think we can? We should let him go, we are hopelessly outmatched if he could defeat Buggy and his crew, that easily was the general dialogue going amongst the crowd. Luffy chucked listening to the crowd, then he took his bag of treasure and chucked it behind him without looking back. Luffy? Why did you leave that gold? It's gotta be worth 5 million berry. If you aren't going to take it, I will. Nami shouted, nearly hysterical at the bag of gold laying on the ground surrounded by townspeople. The hell you will, Nami. Those people have just lost half their town and they need help. I'll get more money, it's not big deal. Luffy casually responded. Nami was shedding tears at the thought of wasted gold. But later she would think back on that moment as a true sign of Luffy's character. Luffy, Zoro, and Nami made it to their boat and shoved off. Ooh, pirates. Pirates are attacking the village. Everyone run for your lives, hide. A strange boy with black hair and a green bandana on his head screamed as he ran through his tiny village. Shut up. You damned liar. Get that brat. He's gotta learn to stop lying to us every day. The villagers were shouting behind him as he ran. Ooh, so, you realize we cannot go to the Grand Line like this, right? Nami asked, getting frustrated with these happy-go-lucky pirates. Yeah. I almost forgot, what's wrong with me? We need more meat. Luffy shouted in response to Nami's observation. This has nothing to do with meat. We need more than just meat too, you idiot. We need a better boat for one, that is our top priority. Nami screamed at Luffy. Luffy was laying down on his back eating an apple. Nah, we need a musician first. Luffy casually replied. Then he threw the apple core into the ocean behind him. Captain, when can you start training me in that Haki stuff you were talking about? I ain't getting any younger here. Zoro asked Luffy. Next island Zoro, there are things we are going to need to start, we also need more room than this small boat gives us. Luffy responded. Haki, what is that? Some freaky monster power these pirates can use. Nami was thinking to herself as she listened to the conversation. I see the next island. This island has a small village called Syrup Village. We should be able to stock up on supplies and maybe someone will be able to sell us a boat there. Nami suggested to the two men. Luffy, Zoro, and Nami disembarked off their small boat on the new island, stretched their legs, started to move forward when Zoro stopped suddenly. Captain, there are people watching us. They are on the ledge, up there. Zoro said, pointing at the rock several feet above them. I am the mighty Captain Usopp. I have 8 million men stationed on this island. If you know what's good for you, you better leave right now. The now identified Usopp shouted as he jumped out from behind the boulder. His knees were knocking almost as loudly as he shouted. He drew his slingshot and pointed it at Luffy. Oh, you want to bet your life on your next shot, kid? That weapon in your hand, it isn't a toy. You don't aim a weapon at someone and think you are just playing a game. If you even think about letting that go, well, I won't be able to let you off so easy. Luffy stared at Usopp with a deathly serious expression. Zoro was giving Usopp his best maniacal grin while slowly drawing his favorite sword from its sheath. You better listen, kid, this is a real pirate standing before you. 3 children suddenly bolted from behind the rocks next to where Usopp was hiding, running into the woods for their dear lives. Hey. Don't run, you can't leave me alone like this. Usopp panicked. Usopp dropped the slingshot and fell on his ass. Man, just as I thought. My words, they don't compare to the real deal. Usopp shuddered in fear. Luffy's expression cracked, then he grabbed his stomach as he fell on his back, laughing uncontrollably. Zoro smiled a little joke. Even Nami could bring herself to chuckle at the scene. You should have seen yourself. Oh man, that was priceless. Luffy said through his laughter as he was standing back up. I was just repeating the words of my hero, Shanks. He told them to a mountain bandit when I was a kid. Luffy stated. Usopp started climbing to his feet, holding onto the boulder for balance. You aren't here to attack my home, are you? Usopp asked, hope rising in his voice. Nah, we just want to get some food, supplies and maybe a boat if we're lucky, Luffy answered. By the way, you wouldn't happen to be Usopp's son, would you? Luffy asked suddenly. Do you know my dad? How? Usopp asked, quite shocked. Oh man, I met your dad back in my hometown of Fuchsia Village. He and his crew stayed there for a year or so. He never stopped telling me stories about you. I almost feel like I've known you all my life. Shishy, Luffy said. Your old man could take the wings off a fly at 100 yards and not even kill the damn thing. Luffy added. We find the crew +1 in a small restaurant eating food, some more quickly than others. You know anyone who could sell us a boat, Usopp? Nami asked. Luffy was far too busy eating, then he was about a new boat. Well, maybe the Oho-sama, Miss Kayu would have one, she is the only one I could think of on this island that would have a boat to sell to you. Usopp answered. Luffy finished up his meat. Hey Usopp. Why don't you join my crew? Follow in your old man's footsteps. Come to the Grand Line with me. We still need a sniper. Luffy asked. Usopp was shocked. He never thought he could possibly be a real pirate, a true warrior of the sea. Just then, his ego kicked in. I'll join your crew. But I want to be Captain Usopp. Luffy smiled. No way. I'm captain. He corrected Usopp. Usopp suddenly got up, started running out the door. I gotta go. I'll see you guys later. Where you think he went, Luffy? Nami asked. Who knows? Maybe we should look into it. Could be fun. Shishi. Luffy laughed. The 3 members of the crew, Mugiwara, got up and left the restaurant. In a rather modest but stately mansion, we find a sickly young woman. She is pale and seemingly bedridden. She has blonde shoulder-length hair. I want to see Usopp-san. The girl said. The young lady's butler, a tall man approximately 6 foot tall, with well-groomed, slick-back black hair, round wire-rimmed glasses. He adjusted his glasses on his face with the palm of his hands instead of his fingers. Not this again, Oho-sama, you know you cannot see him, he is a dangerous person and he tells you nothing but useless lies. The butler responds. He gives her a tea and medicine, begins to leave. Stingy, the young lady whispers under her breath. The butler turns and says, I'm perfectly fine with that, no means no. Usopp pulls a pre-cut section of the hedge fence around the said mansion out and crawls through it, carefully replacing it as he stands up. He begins to climb a large tree outside the window of the mansion and knocks on the window. The lady in the bedroom opened the window with a large smile on her face. Usopp-san. I missed you. I'm so sorry, I wanted to invite you in like a real guest. But stingy Kurahito wouldn't let me, she said. Don't worry about it, Kayu-san. It's fine, it's fine. How are you feeling? Usopp asked. Oh, I'm fine, perfectly fine. She smiled. What story are you going to tell me today, Usopp-san? I'll tell you about the giant goldfishes that I fought in the South Pole. They were so big they left behind islands when they pooped. Usopp and Kaya both broke out into great fits of laughter. As our crew was leaving the restaurant, they bumped into the 3 children that fled from Usopp at the coast. While all were short gakis, each one of the 3 boys had a distinctive and weird hairstyle. One had black hair in the shape of an apple, one had yellow-brown hair in the shape of an onion, and the last tallest of the 3 had purple hair in the shape of a pepper. Luffy reached out and grabbed the black-haired boy and asked him, "Where's that Usopp kid run off to?" The kids looked at him for a second. They were scared that the pirates may have killed and eaten their captain. But that question dispelled that belief. He probably went up to Lady Kaya's mansion. He tells her lies every day. Yeah, Captain's lies are the best. I love listening to Usopp's lies. The kids all said together, he is a liar. That is not exactly a good trait to have, Nami commented. Take us to this mansion, kids, Luffy requested. Luffy, Zoro, and Nami approached the mansion with the children in tow. The children led them to the small entrance that Usopp had been using. Nami crawled in through this opening. Zoro just jumped straight up over the wall, while Luffy looked around, then smiled and launched his arms up and grabbed hold of a tree limb hanging over the hedge fence. The 3 Usopp pirates' jaws hit the ground quite comically. What is he? The kids shouted in unison. As Nami and Zoro were approaching the tree that Usopp was talking to Lady Kaya from, they seen Luffy falling towards the ground, where he soundly crashed face first into. Are you alright, Kaya asked, fearing for the young man's health. Oh. Don't worry about him. He's a new member of my crew. He would like to. Usopp's terrible lie was interrupted by Luffy. No, that's not it, we would like to buy a ship. Luffy was interrupted as well by the butler from earlier as he approached the scene. You there? What are you doing here? Kurohito asked, rather rudely. The rest of the crew already could tell they were not going to like this man and his holier-than-thou attitude. A man in green pants, black coat and black hat and wearing red heart-shaped sunglasses was oddly enough walking backwards down the street. He looks over and sees a sheep staring at him. We would like to buy a ship. Luffy asked Kurohito. Kurohito readjusted his glasses with his palms and replied. Absolutely not. Now I would like you all to leave this property. Kurohito demanded. Usopp-kun, is that you hiding in the tree? You are rather notorious in the village, aren't you? I've even heard stories about your father. Kurohito accuses Usopp. What? Usopp began to reply but was interrupted by Kaya. Kurohito. Stop this. That is enough. Apologize to Usopp-san right now. No, I will not apologize to this lying street urchin, I am only speaking the truth. Kurohito replied in a condescending tone. Luffy was curious, isn't it the job of a butler to listen to and obey their boss? He reached out with his Kenbun-shoku haki and sensed that this man was not what he seemed at all. He was reeking of killing intent and violence. Far beyond what any average butler would ever be able to stand up against, let alone put out. Hey Zoro, Nami, this guy's not normal, keep your guard up around him. Luffy quietly informed his 2 nakama. Usopp, using a rope from his belt, dropped down from the tree and glared for all he was worth at the annoying butler. If looks could kill, the man would be deader than dead in that very instant. Why are you so angry, Usopp-kun? Why don't you just lie? You could have said your father was a treasure hunter of a traveling salesman. You could even say he's not your real father. Kurohito's arrogant demeaning of Usopp came to a sudden halt when his face met with Usopp's fist hard enough to put him on his back. Kurohito looked up at Usopp in fear for a moment before his face returned to normal condescending sneer. See that? Oho-sama. He only knows violence when he is confronted by the truth. Like father, like son. Kurohito shouted. Shut up. I'm proud that my father is a brave warrior of the sea. I'm proud that he is a pirate. I may just be a liar, but I am proud that I have the blood of a pirate flowing through my veins. Luffy was watching this scene with a smile on his face. I know Usopp will be in my crew. Hey, Zoro, you think he would make a good nakama? Luffy asked his first mate. Zoro grinned. I think he would make a great sniper for our crew. Pirates are warriors of the sea? Haha, pretty naive thinking you have there, Usopp-kun. But this does prove the barbaric nature of the pirate's blood that flows in you. Kurohito gets up and slowly pats the dirt off of his suit. You like and resort to violence whenever it suits you. What is it you really want? Oho-sama's money? Is that it? Kurohito starts shouting at Usopp, getting angrier by the second. What are you saying? I would never rob her. She's my friend. Usopp objected. Whether you have ulterior motives or not. The fact that your father is a pirate is proof enough. Kurohito shouted. Usopp charged up to Kurohito and grabbed his collar and readied his fist to strike the arrogant bastard in the face again when he was stopped. Stop it, Usopp. Kaya shouted. Usopp gritted his teeth and let go of the butler. Please, don't resort to violence again. Kaya pleaded. Kurohito is not a bad person, he is just worried and protective of me. Kaya said. Kurohito told Usopp, get out of here, right this instant. And never come back to this home again, you are not welcome. I get it, I can tell when I'm not wanted. You'll never see me again. Usopp spoke in nearly a whisper. Usopp-san, Kaya said, in a soft tone. Luffy was staring intently at the butler as if trying to stare a hole through his very skull. You three, you need to leave as well. Your kind is not welcome here. Kurahito demanded. You don't tell me what to do, loser. I'm still a pirate, unlike you. I didn't chicken out and run from the ocean like a coward. Luffy said, coming to the conclusion from his Haki scans that this man was not a butler at all but a pirate who couldn't hack it at sea. I don't know what you are talking about, peasant. Get out of here before I call the guards. Kurahito was quite shocked. How did he know I was once a pirate? That makes no sense. I've never seen this punk before, have I? Luffy and the crew made a quick getaway back to the main road to town. Later that same day, we find Luffy and crew sans Usopp standing in the road. The Usopp pirates came running up to them, asking them if they seen Usopp around. Nope, not since he ran away from that stupid fake butler earlier. Luffy said, in a casual manner. Fake butler? All the people present thought in one way or another. But they decided not to question the man at this point in time. Boy kids, where does Usopp go when he is all boring and sad? Luffy asked the kids. He stares into the vastness of the ocean. The black-haired pieman said. They pointed in the general direction. I'll go see how our newest crew member's doing. You guys don't worry, I'll be back soon. Luffy then took off at great speed, only Zoro being able to see the blur of his movement. Luffy found Usopp sitting at the base of a tree staring into the ocean. Yo. What you so down about? You ain't scared of that butler, are ya? Luffy asked. What me scared? I'm not scared of anything. I once took down a giant kabuto beetle with only a spoon. Usopp bluffed. It's okay to be scared, you know. True courage is in standing up and fighting in the face of our fears. Luffy said. You really mean that? You aren't just laughing at me for running away, are you? No, but you will have to stand up for yourself and be that brave warrior of the sea that you want to be sooner than later. Look down there, but be quiet. Luffy pointed at the cliff they were near. Usopp crawled to the edge and peeked over. There, at the bottom of the cliff was Kurahito and a strange-looking man talking to each other. Django. You were supposed to be discreet and not attract a lot of attention by walking backwards through the entire village. Kurahito said to the now-named Django. It's fine, it's fine. Nothing weird about my walk, Captain Kuro, so shut up about it. Django deflected. The now-named Kuro adjusted his glasses with his palm and growled in anger at his insubordinate subordinate. Django, is the plan still on schedule for tomorrow? Kuro asked, barely containing his anger. Of course, the plan to assassinate the Oho-sama can start at any time you wish. Do not use that word assassinate. It sounds too violent. The Oho-sama cannot just die, she needs to write a will naming me Kurahito as her inheritor, and then she needs to suffer an accident. Kuro corrected Django. Up above the beach on the cliff our two watchers observed this with bated breath, while one was tense. Our hero was not concerned at all. What are we going to do? Usopp whispered harshly to Luffy. Don't worry too much, keep listening. We may learn something we can use to stop this bastard, Luffy answered. Back down on the beach. Tomorrow at sunrise I want your pirates to attack the town. Well, you go and hypnotize Oho-sama and force her to write the will, then you can kill her, but you must make it look like an accident. Kuro stated. Understood, Captain Kuro. It shall be done as you requested. Just remember to pay us. Django said. Do not call me that name again. That name is dead, I cannot afford anyone hearing that name after I worked so hard to fake my own execution, fool. Kuro glared at Django. Understood, Kurahito was it. Won't call you Ku that name again. Django sweated a little under his ex-captain's glare. The two men turned away from each other and started walking separate directions. Going about their individual business. What are we going to do? Luffy, they are going to kill Kaya. We can't let that happen. I gotta tell the people so we can stop this before it happens. Usopp was starting to hyperventilate in his panic. Hold on. If you go into town now screaming about pirates and such, who's gonna believe a lair like you? I mean, you do that every day anyways, don't you? Luffy grabbed Usopp, trying to talk sense into him. But what else can I do? I gotta try to alert someone. Usopp cried. Well, you know his men are going to attack tomorrow. At morning it's unlikely they will raid at this beach, seeing as they had a meeting here, that would be stupid. The Django guy went that way, let's follow him. Luffy suggested. Luffy and Usopp followed the man to a small boat not too far from their own boat. I'm gonna have to check the loot and see if any is missing soon, Luffy thought to himself. Okay, I would guess that they are probably going to invade from this beach. We have the element of surprise, they have no idea that we know Shishishi. This will be fun. My crew will take them out tomorrow, you will help of course, this is your friends you want to protect, right? Luffy asked. Why yeah. Of course I will help fight. I'm a man after all. The proud son of a pirate. Usopp shuddered in fear at the thought of facing down a whole pirate crew. Well, he was grateful for the help from Luffy. Luffy just did not seem like a strong pirate. Okay, Zoro. We have a battle tomorrow. I want to see if I can make you awaken your Kenbanshoku Haki today. Luffy grinned as he ordered his crew to a secluded part of the village. Alright Captain, what do I need to do to learn this Haki stuff? Zoro asked, more excited than he has been in a long time. Luffy walked to the road and started collecting small stones that were littered about all over the place. I want you to take your headband and cover your eyes with it. Make it so that you cannot see a thing. Luffy instructed. Hey, what are you going to do to him, carrying those rocks and blindfolding him like that? Suspicious if you ask me. Nami asked, slightly worried for the young swordsman. I'm helping him, he will not be able to survive in the Grand Line if he does not get stronger, and this is going to help him do just that. Luffy grinned in a slightly sinister way. Nami, if this will make me stronger, I will do whatever it takes. I do not care about pain or risk. Don't get in my way. Zoro angrily stated. Okay, I want you to sit down and block out all noises and distractions. Just concentrate on dodging the stones. Concentrate on it like your life depends on it. You want to believe that if I hit you, you will die. Luffy dropped all semblance of humor and was recalling how his teacher Shanks spoke when he was in sensei mode, as he called it. Zoro took the lotus position, blocking all the distractions. The sounds of birds chirping, the occasional dog barking in the distance, the feel of the wind on his skin. He blocked it all out and then he felt a distraction. Ow. That fucking hurts. Zoro screamed as he took a tree branch to the head. You should have been paying more attention. Shishishi. Luffy laughed at his first mate's pain. You wouldn't believe how many blows to the head I took in my training. Luffy added. I would. Nami added her 2 berries to the conversation. No one asked you, Nami. Luffy cut back. A couple hours passed and no remarkable progress was made. Luffy had decided to call it a day on the training, seeing as they had a battle tomorrow. This will take you quite some time to get, Zoro, don't be too worried since you did not get it right away. Luffy commented. You gave me a hell of a headache, Captain. Zoro shouted in frustration. You two are completely insane, you know that right? Damn sadists and masochists. Nami said, shaking her head at the two. To get stronger, Nami. You have to break your limits and preconceived notions of what you thought you were capable of. Only when you go to the brink of death and survive do you truly advance. Luffy said, remembering the beatings and pain he got when he was learning to master Kenbanshoku Haki and Busoshoku Haki. The next morning, we find our heroes waiting at the beach that will decide the fate of Syrup Village. Usopp was rolling a large oil drum he got from somewhere. I can pour this oil down the slope and that will slow them down a lot. Usopp said. You can do that, sure. Not that it will be entirely necessary, but if it makes you feel better, go ahead. Shishishi. Luffy laughed. Okay guys, this is how it will be. Zoro, you will be the frontline fighter, Nami and Usopp, you guys will provide support for Zoro. Luffy took command of the situation. What the hell are you going to be doing? Nami shouted while somehow obtaining shark teeth, raising her fist like she was going to beat Luffy down. Luffy put his hands up in a placating manner. I'm gonna be here, if anything goes wrong I'll jump in. Remember what I said yesterday, you can't grow if you don't challenge yourself. You want to be stronger so you can be a better thief, right Nami? Luffy asked. But I'm not a fighter. Nami whined. Everyone has to fight sometime, Nami, just because a thief doesn't usually have to fight, you will at some point, like if you get caught. Luffy replied. Nami had no real argument against this logic, so she just screamed in frustration at the thought of fighting bloodthirsty pirates. I'll also be here to stop a Kuro bastard when he comes to see why his orders aren't being followed. Luffy added with authority. Zoro nodded, it was a good plan, and he would execute it to the best of his ability. The Kuroniko, Black Cat pirates were beached and disembarking their boat. Django, last to get off, looked up the slope and seen the unknown people waiting for them. What do you want? Who are you? Django asked. I'm Money D. Luffy, the man who will become Pirate King. And this is my crew. We are here to stop you from hurting Usopp's friends. Luffy shouted. Okay, take them out, boys. Watch that oil on the slope, it looks like they trapped the landing on us. Django ordered. As one the crew of the Black Cats charged the slope, many slipped in the oil, falling back down to the beach. They eventually used their swords and other weapons as anchors to get better grips. HHHH. Kill em. I call the hot chick. Were all some of the sordid shouts heard from the Black Cats. Nami shuddered at the thought of being at these animals' mercy. Nami, calm down, don't worry. I will never let anyone harm a single hair on that beautiful head of yours, I swear it. Luffy vowed. Nami was caught off guard at such a statement. Could she even consider liking a pirate? No, it's absolutely absurd, never going to happen, she thought. Though, he is kinda cute in a naive silly kind of way. She thought to herself. Zoro was cutting through the pirates like a lawnmower through grass. He has already taken down half of them before Usopp and Nami could get over the shock of it all. He had a sinister smile on the whole time, eyes seemingly glowing with killing intent. "Is this the best you losers have? I ain't even breaking a sweat with you punks." Zoro shouted high on the adrenaline of battle. Luffy chuckled, he was happy with his first mate, that is for sure. One pirate was sneaking up behind Zoro, hoping to stab the man in the back. When Zoro realized his danger, it was too late. But just before the man could finish his stabbing thrust, he took a pachinko to the back of his skull, killing him instantly. "Thanks a lot, Usopp. I owe you for that one," Zoro shouted. No problem, Zoro-san." Usopp could not believe he just took a man's life. "Hey, Usopp, breathe, it's okay. As a brave warrior of the sea, you will take many enemies down. Sometimes it can't be done without killing." Luffy caught that the kill was affecting him, so he tried to cheer his sniper up a bit. Nami could not believe the chaos and death surrounding her at that very moment when one of the pirates happened to slip past the front guard, that is Zoro. "Nami, watch yourself," Luffy shouted. Nami recovered and smashed the man's face in with her staff. "Nami, never let your awareness drop in battle, it can cost you your life," Luffy reminded her. Dango was in deep panic at that moment. He knew that if he did not get past this landing and finish the job, Kuro would kill him. But he also knew that these people were also capable of killing him. "Men, look at me, when I count to 3 you will be stronger, faster, you will feel no pain. 1, 2, 3 Django." Django shouted, hoping beyond hope that this would work. The men shouted in renewed vigor and power, some punched the cliffside causing it to cave in. "I'll take care of these guys for you," Luffy stated. Luffy stood up and approached the landing slope. What is he doing? He's been quiet this whole time. Is he actually the leader of this group? Django couldn't help but fear the look in this new person's eye. "Why don't you guys just go to sleep?" Luffy said. The wave of what could only be described as overpowering fear and subjugation passed over the men. They felt dizzy, then not even seconds later, they were foaming at the mouth like rabid dogs and falling all over themselves to the ground unconscious. What the hell did he do? "He somehow knocked all my men out without lifting a finger." Now Django knew he was a dead man walking. He did not have manpower or skill to beat such an opponent. "Nyaban brothers. I need you out here now," Django half cried half shouted. "What is it you need, Captain?" Sham asked, a small man with green hair and effeminate features. "I need you two to kill those men up there. Now." Django screamed. "What the hell happened here, Captain? They took all our men out?" Bucci asked. "Yes, without any effort on their part as well," Django responded. "We will do what we need to do," Sham said. The Nico duo charged at Zoro with their claws readied, getting closer and closer. Zoro concentrated on the approaching enemy, shutting out the local distractions. The moans of pain from the fallen enemies. The creaking of the boat in the water. The roar of the ocean. All he could hear was the fast approaching footsteps of his enemy. Then he felt a warning sign go off in his head. He opened his eyes and jumped back, avoiding a simultaneous attack from Bucci and Sham. How did he see that coming, Bucci? "You were too slow again. Fat bastard." Sham screamed at his partner. "I was not. I was the same speed as always," Bucci shouted back, failing to notice that he was always kinda slow. "So, Zoro felt a hit from his Kenbushuko Haki, did he? Interesting, that is fast," Luffy thought as he observed the fight. "Nami, Usopp, we are about to have company. I need you to go towards the cliff that faces the ocean, don't come close to me," Luffy ordered. Nami and Usopp were about to question the order, but noticed a serious glint in Luffy's eyes. "Alright Luffy, we are moving," Nami responded while grabbing Usopp and pulling him towards the cliff away from battle. "So you going to stop hiding there, Kuro?" Luffy asked, without even turning around to face his new foe. "How did you know I was there?" "I know I was hidden," Kuro asked, apprehensive about this possible foe. "Why should I offer a coward like you any help in fighting me? You waste of space pirate too afraid to even sail the sea. You disgust me," Luffy was screaming at the man. Kuro was surprised at such rage directed at his person by someone he did not even know. "What the hell is your problem, boy? I'm twice the pirate you will ever be. I just got sick and tired of weak marines always trying to take me down. So I let them think they took me down with a fool." Django hypnotized to play my part, Kuro answered. "Django, what are you doing? Why isn't my plan being carried out? Were you so weak that you let these children stop you?" Kuro asked, trying to save whatever face he could in light of this new opponent. "Captain, these guys are ridiculous. We can't take them." Django begged for forgiveness from his ex-captain. "Pathetic. You know. In the 3 years I have been playing butler to a weak-willed child, I have grown complacent and soft. I will give you 5 minutes to live. If you can defeat these brats in 5 minutes I will reconsider killing you all," Kuro stated coldly. "Zoro, you got those cat freaks?" Luffy asked. "Yeah, Captain. Easy stuff," Zoro responded. "Nami and Usopp try to take out the hypnotist. Use your teamwork," Luffy ordered the 2 B-teamers. I will deal with you, coward, Luffy said, directing his full attention onto Kuro. Kuro put his duffel bag down and opened it up, pulling out a pair of interesting black furry gloves that had long katana-like blades on the tip of each finger. Now I see why you adjust your glasses the way you do, you are used to wearing those gloves. That makes sense now. Flashback, Kurahadel and Mary, a fellow butler and assistant to Lady Kaya, were cleaning and sorting out the mansion before lights out. What is this, Mary? Kuro asked Mary as he picked up a small wrapped box. Ah, Oho-sama got that for you, for your anniversary joining us. She noticed that your glasses keep slipping on your nose, so she special ordered custom glasses for you. Isn't she so thoughtful? Kurahadel looked at the glasses with disdain. You know, Mary, these nights with a crescent moon, they always make me more bloodthirsty than normal. Kuro stated. Kuro dropped the glasses onto the hard floor and smashed them with the heel of his shoe. Mary stepped back, showing clear signs of fear and confusions. What are you doing, Kurahadel? Why are you doing this? He desperately asked. I am a pirate, known as Kuro of the Thousand Plans, Mary. I am also going to kill you and Oho-sama. But Oho-sama will have to wait till tomorrow, you on the other hand are going to die now. Kuro raised his now gloved right hand and brought it down on Mary, cutting the man down. Kuro left him to bleed out on the floor. Flashback end. Well, coward, I am not getting any younger. Are you going to attack me or not? I don't care about your stupid 5-minute crap. If you don't start fighting me now, I'll kill you in 5 seconds. Luffy shouted at the man. Kuro raised his claws and charged at Luffy. Zoro was in the Nyaban brothers clashed sword and claw. The brothers had become desperate and got Django to hypnotize them. Zoro allowed it because he wanted a better challenge. You cat freaks can't do any better than this, is this truly the best you guys got? Zoro taunted. He surprised Sham with a sudden kick to the diaphragm, knocking the wind out of him. Sham. Gucci, in a moment of distraction, thought his fellow cat brother was gravely wounded. If he was more alert, he would have seen the blade coming at his neck from the side. One down, one to go, Zoro said, smiling that wicked demonic smile at Sham. Sham was distraught. He had just lost his brother, but Zoro, in his everlasting mercy, allowed him a moment to get back in the game. Are you ready? I would hate to kill an ill-prepared man. Zoro teased him. Hhhh. I will kill you, you son of a bitch. Sham screamed, all rational thought gone. Zoro used this short-sighted rage of Sham's to easily dodge and get around Sham, ending the battle quickly with a stab through the back and out the chest of Sham. Sham gave a death rattle as his life quickly faded. Zoro cleaned his blades with his fallen foe's shirt and walked back towards the top of the landing. Whistling a jaunty pirate song he heard somewhere in his travels. Nami was doing her absolute best to not get hit by a spinning disc of death that Django was flinging around like some kind of yo-yo on crack. Nami faked a trip and landed on her knee. She took what she felt was a really seductive and sexy pose and feigned an injury, crying for help and sympathy. When Django suddenly fell for it and asked if she was okay, Nami gave a small grin of success and rammed her staff in the goal post, so to speak. Hhhhh. Django screamed and fell to his knees. Nami then bashed him over the head with her staff, knocking him out cold. There was a man about to grab her from behind when he was struck in the head by a still alert and ready Usopp. Thanks a lot, Usopp-san. Nami gratefully cheered. She could not believe that she just fought in and won a pirate battle. I got your back, Nami-san. Usopp grinned with his thumb up. Usopp was glad the second time he killed it wasn't nearly as traumatizing. Maybe he was still in some slight shock. He couldn't tell. Stop. Stop this right now, Kurahadel. Kaya appeared on the scene with the Usopp pirates in tow. I had everything from Mary. If you want my money, you can have it. Just take it and leave. Kaya cried out. Mary is still alive. I could have sworn I killed him. I guess that teaches me not to confirm my kill before leaving, Kuro grunted in annoyance. Kaya. You need to get out of here, now. That man is Kuro, a vicious pirate. He will kill you. Usopp screamed, shocked at seeing his love here on the battlefield. Oho-sama, I don't want just your money. I want your peaceful lifestyle. Kuro went on but was shortly interrupted. Kuro, no, coward. Our battle is not over just yet, Usopp. Nami. Take Kaya out of here. And Zoro, cover their retreat. Luffy ordered and was rewarded with a chorus of "Hi, Captain." Or okay, Luffy. What makes you think I will let you flee here, Oho-sama? Kuro asked. Still too stupid to realize his own precarious position. I am what makes them think they can leave, because you sure as hell can't get past me, Kuro. Luffy answered him. I'm going to show you just how weak you are, coward. You never stood even a snowflake's chance in hell here today. How do you mean? You aren't that strong, boy. I can beat you. I still have moves and tricks up my sleeves. Kuro was getting angrier and angrier, and this brat toying with him. Okay, here is the deal, coward. I am going to give you 1 minute to kill me. I will not attack you, I will simply dodge your block, and I will do it with my eyes closed. How's that for a sweet deal? Luffy chuckled at the returning hope in Kuro's eyes. You're serious? You would close your eyes while in battle with me? Well, far be it from me to turn down your generous offer. I accept your deal. Kuro shouted in glee. Zoro, watch this very closely. This is just the tip of the iceberg with Kenbenshoku Haki. Luffy shouted to his first mate. Zoro put all other distractions aside, all the people around were safe, there were no more viable threats. So he ignored and filtered out all the distractions again, it was getting easier with all this practice he's been getting. Luffy stood still with his eyes closed and a small smile on his face as he read the entire battlefield in his mind. Kuro was swaying back and forth, swaying faster as he went. Till suddenly, at least to Zoro's eyes, Kuro simply vanished. There were slashes and gouges being formed all over the cliff sides and landing slope. Where is he? Zoro shouted. Zoro, don't be distracted, listen and feel for him. Luffy said as he leaned to the side avoiding a claw to the neck. Luffy and Zoro heard screams of agony as large gashes formed on the Black Cat pirates, some were decapitated or had limbs amputated. Zoro closed his eyes as well, focusing all his attention on the sounds of Kuro's footsteps when he felt that warning twinge in the back of his mind again and he threw himself to the ground. Just as Kuro flew by with his claws extended in a swipe, Kuro was screaming in his mind. Why haven't I cut one of these bastards yet? How can they be this good? I am the fastest man alive when I do Shikushi. Oh, what a poor deluded fool. Yeah, your minute is up, but thanks for helping my first mate a little on his training. Luffy grinned and flung his arm out to apparently nowhere in particular, but all of a sudden Kuro appeared with Luffy's hand around his throat. Mercy. Please. Is there anything I can do to get mercy from you? Kuro realized that he had poked the bee's nest and was about to get stung, like no other. He suddenly felt what could only be called fear, weaponized and solidified. His vision blurred and he was close to losing consciousness. No, you get no mercy from me at all, coward. If you aren't man enough to face the ocean, then never go out there. Luffy dropped Kuro to the man's knees. Threw his arms back, Zoro watched as Luffy's fists became glossy black just like back at Shell Island. Goodbye Kuro, you fucking coward. Buzokoku. Gomu Gomu no Bazooka. Kuro vomited great quantities of blood and bile as his ribs were crushed and splintered under the great atomic pressure of the attack. An attack that was far too powerful for such a weak and pathetic man. The dead man disappeared into the horizon, never to be seen or heard from again. Captain, you are a dangerous man. I could feel the power on that attack and I wasn't even the target. Zoro commented. I never should have used that much power, but that man infuriated me. I can't stand someone who would betray their own nakama. Did you see how he slashed at his own unconscious crew members with his attacks? No, anyone who would betray or kill their own nakama gets no pity or mercy from me. Luffy answered. Zoro nodded, that was a sound and reasonable belief. Usopp, I think we've run far enough away now. I can't hear the battle any longer. Nami panted as she tried to keep up with Usopp and the kids as Usopp carried Kaya on his back. Yeah, we should be fine, let's hide Kaya in the woods here, if the worst happens they shouldn't be able to find us here. Usopp ever the pessimist replied. What are we gonna do if Luffy-san loses captain? Ninjin asked, obviously scared for his life. We will run. Like we always do. Usopp answered back sharply, what are we going to do if those strong guys fail? Usopp silently asked himself as well. I hear someone coming through the trees. Nami whispered harshly, hoping it wasn't too loud. Usopp readied his slingshot, hands shaking and sweating, knees knocking into each other. You guys, get Kaya and get ready to run, the enemy is here. Usopp gave up the idea of running, he knew he had no hope if Kuro beat Luffy and Zoro. Captain, we can't leave you alone. Paimon shouted. Yes you can. And you will. Now go. I will hold him off. Hey guys. It's us, no need to have a heart attack or anything shishi. Luffy laughed. Usopp fell on his ass and released a breath he had no idea he was holding. Nami jumped for joy and ran up to hug Luffy. When she realized I was about to hug a pirate she mentally slapped herself and took a few steps back. Then smiled at them. Aiman, Ninjin, Tamanegi and Kaya all hesitantly walked up to the Straw Hat pirated and asked the important question on all their minds. Is Kuro gone? Tamanegi asked for the group. Yup. Kuro will never bother you, or will anyone ever again. Luffy smiled and patted Kaya on the shoulder. I'm sorry you had to see that, Miss Kaya. Luffy said solemnly. It's alright, thank you though, Luffy-san. Why don't we all up to the house and get some rest? I'll have our private doctor look into any wounds you have and you can stay there for the night. Kaya asked, figuring she owned them all at least that much for saving her life and the villagers' lives. Yeah. Let's have a party. Luffy shouts. Everyone smiles and starts following Luffy and Kaya back to the mansion. Has been a few days of parties and celebrations in the mansion. All of the villagers came, they had apologized profusely to their long-nosed friend. All the while they were celebrating Mary, who had recovered with help from the family's top-notch private doctor, had been getting the new ship for the crew ready for sailing. Everyone, I would like to give you a new gift for the services you rendered to me and my village. Follow me please. Lady Kaya asked the crew of 3. Usopp had sneaked out earlier for unknown reasons. In the small house on the outskirts of the village we find Usopp throwing his every belonging into an ever-growing bag that you would never guess the young man would be capable of carrying on his own. Ah. Time to start my journey to greatness as a brave warrior of the sea. Usopp shouted as he tried his best to pull his overstuffed bag out the front door of his house. When it finally gave, he found out how much built-up force he was applying and launched himself down the road, disappearing from view. Down on the beach where the battle that decided the fate of the village took place, we find the crew of the Straw Hat Pirates looking at a new ship. It was a small Caravel-class boat. It had 2 sails and a main mast. Also had a most peculiar figurehead, that of a sheep or lamb. Definitely not the most threatening pirate ship you have ever seen. The ship is a Caravel class, it has jib and central steering rudder. Mary was informing the captain, but he wasn't paying his words any attention. Hold up a second, Mary. This guy's an idiot. You better tell me about the controls and navigation system of the ship. Nami interrupted Mary. The ship's name is the Going Merry because I would like to think that you will be going merrily to wherever the sea takes you. Mary said, cheerfully. The group of friends all heard the sound of screams coming closer to their position. They watched as a green and brown blur was rolling towards the shop at his speeds. Stop me. I don't want to die. They heard what sounded like Usopp shouting. Luffy jumped in front of the rolling wrecking ball that was Usopp and shouted Gomu Gomu no fussin'. Luffy inflated like a balloon and Usopp hit him, redirecting his course to the cliff face where he smashed face first into the rocks. Asp. What was that, Luffy-san? Kaya asked. Reasonable shocked at a human being turning into a balloon. Ah, that is just my Akuma no Mi, I ate a devil fruit called the Gomu Gomu no Mi, making me a rubber man. Luffy informed her as he pulled his cheek far beyond what any normal human should be able to do. Don't worry about this knucklehead, Kaya-san. He's just extremely weird. Nami sighed. Thank you for saving me again, Luffy. I hope I get to meet you again, someday out on the ocean. Usopp smiled as he was getting ready to board a small dingy boat. Come on, Usopp. What are you doing? Get on our ship. We are Nakama now, aren't we? Luffy shouted to the black-haired sniper. Yeah, we fought together. You should join us on the ship. Zoro said. Usopp just stared confusedly, not really believing they would want someone so weak and cowardly as him on their ship. Come on. Let's go. Luffy screamed. Usopp jumped and cheered Captain Usopp. Here I come. Usopp shouted. Hey. I'm the only captain here. Luffy laughed, along with the rest of the crew. A few hours later on the Going Merry. There was a loud thunderous boom echoed across the ship. Luffy? What are you doing? Nami screamed as she ran out of the cabin. I'm testing the cannons. But my aim sucks. I want to try to hit that rock way over there. Luffy moaned out in depression. Luffy, let me try it. Usopp took the cannon from Luffy and aimed carefully at the rock that seemed nearly a mile off the side. Boom. The cannon fired and after a few short seconds there was a loud explosion that followed the successful strike of the rock structure. See, Luffy? I am the best sniper you will ever find. That was easy for me. Usopp cheered. I was so worried I would screw that up. Usopp thought to himself while celebrating. Let's go in and get some grub. Luffy shouted and the crew followed him into the mess hall. Several long minutes passed as the crew finished eating when they heard a stranger's voice on their deck. Hey you. Whoever it is that tried to kill my partner. The stranger shouted. I'll go check it out. Zoro said as he left the mess hall. Soon as he stepped outside he instantly ducked his head, avoiding a sword slash at his neck level. I'll kill you for trying to kill me and my Zoro and Nikki. Is that really you? The young man asked hesitantly. Johnny? What are you doing on our ship? Why are you on a pirate ship, Zoro and Nikki? Zoro slowly put his swords away. He knew this guy, but he was a bounty hunter. Well, not good, he could still be a threat. What's wrong, Johnny? Where is Yusaku? Why isn't he with you? Zoro asked the now named Johnny. Follow me. Yusaku needs help. He's dying. They followed Johnny to the side of the boat where they found a small boat moored to the side of the Going Merry. My partner is sick. We were taking refuge on a large rock formation when your crew attacked us and nearly killed Yusaku. I fear he doesn't have any more time. Johnny screamed in panic. Indeed, the man named Yusaku did look incredibly sick and pale. They brought him on board the ship to get a closer look. Nami looked closely and then slapped her face with her palm and groaned in frustration. You guys are so stupid, do you know that? Usopp, go get me some limes from the storeroom on the double. Nami ordered. Why do I have to? Usopp wanted to object to being ordered around, but the evil glare he was getting from Nami made him feel that his life was worth more than refusing this crazy woman's orders. Okay, I'll be right back with your damn lemons. Usopp ran as fast as he could to the storeroom, coming out with a handful of lemons and dropping them at Yusaku's side. Their friend has scurvy, a sickness sailors get when they go long stretches without vitamin C, used to be incurable, but now if you catch it in time, which luckily for you and your friend we did. It is just as simple as getting him some citrus fruits to eat. Nami informed the crew. After feeding the unconscious Yusaku a lot of lemon juice, he suddenly got up and started dancing with his friend Johnny, just happy to not be dead. Yada. Banzai. I'm better. It worked. And such were the things that the two friends were screaming as they danced in a circle on the deck. Nami screamed at "Doesn't work that fast," while looking like she had vicious shark teeth. After a short official introduction, the two bounty hunters explained how they used to work with Zoro from time to time collecting bounties. And how they were greatly surprised to see that he is now serving on a pirate ship of all places. I guess. Just seems fate had a different hand to play for me. Zoro went to shake their hands, but Yusaku took that moment to pass out on the deck. Let's just throw him on a cot in the men's cabin, he can sleep his scurvy off for the night that way, Nami interjected. This is an important lesson for us, I mean you guys. You can't sail the seas like this without a cook. You'll die. Nami stated. Yosh. Let's get a sea cook. He can fix us all kinda of good meats. Luffy cheered. Usopp agreed wholeheartedly along with Zoro. So you are looking for a sea cook? I think I know just the right place for you. Johnny says. Yeah. Where is it, Johnny? Where should we go? Luffy asked. There is a great restaurant, but it's kind of close to the Grand Line. I've even heard rumor that Hawkeye is somewhere near there. You are hunting that man, aren't you, Aniki? Asked Johnny. Zoro grinned and grabbed his sword in anticipation of a possible great battle in the near future. Its direction is north-northeast. Johnny pointed in the said direction. Next day, around noon, we find our crew on a heading towards the sea restaurant known as the Barati, the home of the sea cooks. Only strong fighting cooks work at this restaurant. They need to be tough to fight off thieving pirates and cheapskates. As they were nearing the restaurant, they were being approached by a marine ship from the starboard side of the Mary. Where did they come from? Zoro wondered to himself. Right out of the blue. Nami whispered. Don't worry guys, I knew they were coming for a while. They aren't strong though, so don't sweat it. Shushi, Luffy laughed. Who are you calling weak? Pathetic pirate. Who are you anyways? Who is your captain? I've never seen that Jolly Roger before. The yet-to-be-named marine asked. I am the captain. Luffy shouted, authoritatively raising his hand to stop Usopp from trying to play captain. The pirate mark was just made today, so I doubt you would have ever seen it before. Luffy added. The two bounty hunters were sneaking away, trying their best not to be found. They knew they were busted though. Hey, we aren't pirates, you know. They shouted. As Johnny pulled out a handful of wanted posters to brag about his wins. The marine simply turned away with his attractive date in his arms. Nami though happened to see a particularly familiar wanted poster of one Arlong, the saw she pocketed it herself. Well, I am Marine Lieutenant, Iron Fist full body. I don't usually sully my hands with lowly pirates like yourself. He gave his men the order to sink the ship as he and his date boarded a smaller vessel to dock at the restaurant. Boy. Luffy, they are gonna sink us. Usopp cried. Don't whine, Usopp, I got this. Luffy answered. Luffy flared his Hashoku Haki and all the men aboard the marine ship dropped like stones to the deck. Hey you guys, let's loot that ship before the boss marine finds out that his loser crew couldn't take us out. Luffy cheered. 30 minutes later they had stolen all the food and cannonballs from the ship and were fast on their way to the Barati restaurant. Thanks for watching this video. If you really enjoy this video, like, subscribe and comment down below and turn on that bell notification. Don't forget to support the Chrisfragger for writing that awesome fanfic. See you in the next video. Goodbye.